too dangerous. And what about the pay raise you promised me?
I don't know if you can tell, but I really love LEGO games. I love pretty much everything about them. However, not everyone feels the same way about every feature. More specifically, a large portion of longtime fans are not fans of voice acting in the games. I figured it might be the quality of the acting, the voice direction, or even the writing. Even I would have to admit that there's been a groan-worthy joke here, or poor performance there that rubbed me the wrong way. But nope, it's everything. All voice acting is bad. Throw it out the window. Many LEGO fans feel that voice acting has replaced the reliance on visual comedy and has ultimately gutted the soul of the series. I'm not the biggest fan of this perspective. The charm of the games never left. The love, care, and passion put into these games has only increased over the years. The series has also amassed a huge cache of skilled and legendary voice actors who lended their voices to some unforgettable experiences. Whenever I hear that the games are worse because of voice acting, all I hear is that all that effort made to improve the games are worth nothing, that we peaked a decade ago and it's been all downhill from here. Yeah, not the biggest fan of this perspective. Voice acting is really beneficial to the series, and I'd like to share with you why. A real quick one. One of the benefits of having archived audio and voice acting in these games is that the story and comedy doesn't have to begin and end with cutscenes. The writers can now cram in more jokes or effectively progress the story while players carry on in levels and hubs. For some games, archived audio is the only feasible option in regards to voice acting. This limitation doesn't prevent the games from using audio in creative ways. For many of these projects, the audio works as a complement or contrast to the visual humor. It either reinforces a joke made in the original film, or it uses the audio as a contrast for something far more silly happening around the background. For example, the animators will take a line literally, warping what might have been a sarcastic idiom into an absurdist joke. This style of audio implementation builds on the player's familiarity with the source material to craft a new experience with a touch more levity. As the years passed, LEGO games became grander in scale. With this new scale came stories to match. These bigger stories were enhanced by actors imbuing their characters with life and personality. These stories have so many characters and interwoven elements that would have been lost in translation had the silent style been kept. Voice acting comes in handy when explaining important elements of a narrative. For example, Marvel Superhero 2's plot focused on time travel and alternate dimensions would have been a lot more confusing if the cast stayed silent. The same can be applied to LEGO Dimensions and its several crossovers. It also adds to emotional moments, like in LEGO Batman 3. Batman's struggle with his fear of losing Robin probably wouldn't be as impactful had he stayed mute in the first game. The game that benefits the most from voice acting has to be LEGO City Undercover. The game has a surprisingly layered mystery with an even larger cast to boot. The game's mix of quirky character comedy, gripping mystery, and irreverent pop culture references would be lost if it stayed mute like the other titles. Part of the game's unique charm comes from the contrast of the stakes of Chase McCain breaking his cover, infiltrating several locations, jobs, and factions with the eccentric characters he encounters. The script gives each character dimension, making each interaction and joke layered and impactful. I won't deny that the game could still be funny without voice acting, but I personally feel a bit of its charm would be lost without it. Lastly, and briefly, voice acting aids in helping players who are lost and confused in levels. Characters will often vocalize their goals, with the camera focusing on points of interest. Characters will also speak when they are near a puzzle they can solve or can't solve, giving inexperienced players more aid. It can also communicate when a character can or can't find a secret, teaching players to be observant and keep in mind the kinds of characters to bring with them on a second playthrough. As a kid with little game literacy and no experience with Star Wars films, playing the first Star Wars LEGO game was mildly frustrating. Had I grown up with the newer games, I might have sailed through them with ease. Voice acting adds a lot to these games, from enhancing story, to assisting gameplay, to allowing the story and humor to persist past the cutscenes. Voice acting proves to be a versatile tool. And at the end of the day, a tool is only as good as the craftsman that wields it. And a well-crafted, lovingly put together game is music to my ears.